Hi, my name is Talia. Welcome to Talia Nerds Out. I'm going to just apologize ahead of time. There might be a little bit of a lisp. I am wearing, it's mostly invisible, it's clear. I'm having a brace that I wear for TMJ, but because of where it's at, it is affecting the way I speak a little bit. So if you notice just a little bit of irregularities in the way that I speak versus the way I normally speak, that is the reason. It also makes my mouth dry. So there's that as well. So it's been a little bit since I last recorded because I did a bunch of videos at a time. I've just been releasing them slowly as I go. Just because it gives me content that I can post whenever I feel up to editing it, and I can just get a bunch of videos recorded at one time. But that being said, let me go ahead and get started with the first one. I think that I will first start off with one of the books that I finished. I think I touched briefly on finishing Michelangelo and the Pope ceiling last time. I really enjoyed this. I need to put it in my book journal. But yeah, I found this to be very enjoyable. I found it to be very interesting. Just learning about Julius as a person, learning more about Michelangelo, who was about as I had heard about him before, but just also some of the myths about how the Sistine Chapel was painted. The myth that he painted it while laying on his back apparently was completely false. And what I actually really enjoyed was learning about Raphael, who I knew next to nothing about. So this did a very good job of introducing Raphael. And it also did a good job of running through each of these paintings and explaining them, so I could go and I could find the painting and actually look at them and understand what I was looking at, which I have not done in the past. So that was cool. And I thought it was interesting that this book mentioned frescoes as being the poor man's Bible, which makes sense because they could be, when Mass is being said Latin or whatever, they could be looking up at the ceiling, looking at the paintings, the frescoes, or look around, looking at the stained glass windows or whatever, to get a Bible story while they were listening to the language that they couldn't understand, at least until they started moving over to the vernacular. But yeah, so I did enjoy this. I would recommend it. I have other books by this author that I do intend to read. I haven't removed all the stickies yet from this because I haven't yet put it in my book journal. And speaking of the book journal, I think since last time I showed you, I did finally get my washi tape with the Wives of Henry VIII on it and the divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded, survived washi tape. So, and then there's my library catalog card and my actual library card with the stamp on it. And I did use some of my new stamps that I got. So this says certified 5-star, and it actually has the 5-star stamp as well. So I'm playing around with that. I'm trying to get used to playing with stamps and making them look the way I want them to. And you can see that a little bit more when I'm messing around when I was writing the review itself. I still don't quite have it down the way I want it. I do like how this Happy Puffin turned out. But I'm just playing around with it. Now, one thing that I like to do with the book journal is I like to have on one page the library card, the library catalog card, and the cover that I draw. Sometimes better than others. This one just didn't turn out quite as well as I would have liked for Chapuis's book, the Inside the Tudor Court. But I try to have cover and the library catalog card here, and then on this side I try to have the library card itself, from the Library of Talia, if that's the if it's one of my books. If not, I leave that blank or put something else there. Sorry, mouth's dry because of the brace. Okay, anyway. And then this is also the page that I put my rating on. And then I have whatever decoration. But because I ended my review on a page where it had a blank page opposite, I decided just to put like some fun stuff in here. So I got a sticker when I was looking for stuff on Etsy. The sticker says, "Buying books is self-care and self-care comes first." So there's the sticker. And then I have washi tape that I cut up that have these girls reading books. And then from the same set, this bookshop, this $10 box, this bookshop here that you can reach with a bike, and then the couch potato, both in the washi tape and in the cut up washi tape here. So yeah, I had fun with this. It's a little cluttered, but I enjoyed that. So anytime I have a page that ends up with an uneven review, I'll have one of these rest pages. Whoops. I just had flying out something I need to put in the journal next, which is, this is Persuasion that I need to put in there, and I have a couple of the other books. I'm a little behind because I short notice committed myself to making a bunch of crocheted animal donuts for my grandmother's upcoming birthday. She doesn't know about it, but when they arrive, I forget, it's like 80-something birthday. I can't remember which birthday it is, but because they're not coming for Thanksgiving, we're doing this big thing for her birthday. And I decided I wanted to put a crocheted donut animal on each plate, but I decided this, a couple weeks before she's coming. So I won't be working on this journal until I manage to get the rest of those donuts done. But I have Persuasion, which would be easy to put in as a reread. So I don't generally write a review in here unless if it is a reread. But here's Michelangelo and the Pope's ceiling, and I also finished another one that I'll talk about later. But yes, I did fall behind. I hope to catch up. Take another drink. Oh, and this is actually a book-themed tea. There's a place I go to called Adagio where people can make their own blends and they'll sell them there. So this is a blend that was called Chocolate Mocha for Little Gray Cells. So it's a Poirot-themed tea. I'm not using my Poirot mug at this point, but I do have my I'd rather be knitting mug. Okay. Then I'm continuing to read my Star Wars Dark Force Rising. I've not gotten very far in it since I last talked to y'all. Just enough to kind of move my R2 bookmarker along. I should read this when I'm going to sleep because honestly, this is an easy read. I could read this without my glasses on. And I've read this 20 million times, so should probably start doing that. Okay, so that is for this. I'm breaking up everything in different sections like I've been trying to do. So this particular section is kind of like a hodgepodge of different things, but after that I will have something that'll be based in like what I'll be reading for the Q3 plus a particular focus on October. That's one video. And then I have another one for my craft history video because I do have things to show for that. Even if it's not a lot of things read right now. Because I've been collecting things to get that particular segment fleshed out. And I think I mentioned that last time. And it probably seems like far more recent than it actually was since I recorded the videos that you've been seeing all together. But anyway, So with this section here, I will next show some of the books that I got that are not tied into Victober/Quarter 4 Historathon or into the crafting history. Okay, so this was something that I picked up because she came up multiple times in the Chapuis book, and I realized I knew nothing about her, and she sparked my interest. So one of the people who Chapuis kind of worked under, besides Charles, the Holy Roman Emperor, he also worked a lot with Mary of Hungary, the second regent of the Netherlands. And she just sounded like she was a very interesting person. You saw his communications with her, and I was like, wow, I know nothing about her. I would really like to. So I picked up Mary of Hungary, second regent of the Netherlands. Yes, it's a very on-point title. And it's by Jane de Jong. So yeah, I will read this next year or in a future year when I hit quarter 3. But quarter 3 is past. This will be a different point. But I did find her very interesting. Put this down here. Let's see. Okay, I guess the next... Oh, this still goes on into... this goes in the same period. I found The Murder of Amy Robsart. This, it says in the introduction, the wave of whitewash which has of late years swept over English history and left so many important persons clean and respectable early reached Robert Dudley, Earl of Leicester? I always say that wrong. If in trying to scrape it off, an independent observer comes to the conclusions that the earlier and thicker coat which from her own times has made the Virgin Queen so shining a figure in English history covers a very paltry woman made up of meanness, caprice, and lechery, it may be as well for him to print his reasons for so thinking and to refer to his authorities. So this guy proposes to in the fall, this is what I now propose to do, and if the following pages, besides containing a considerable amount of hitherto unprinted matter, reprints much that others have said before, I trust that the repetition may be excused, if, as I trust, it results in a collection for the first time of all direct and indirect evidence in question. So it looks like they are taking actual court documents, is what I'm gathering, and reviewing the court, reviewing the case from as unbiased a view as possible. So this interests me because the other book that I read on this topic leaned very heavily in the direction that it felt very biased in a way that kind of felt unnatural. I believe that they leaned in the direction of accident or suicide, but the way they presented their case wasn't, in my personal opinion, very compelling. So I'm interested in seeing how this other point of view and how something that might actually be documents that are closer to that era, how that might make me see the case differently. Or give me a different... Yeah, let me give me see it differently. Okay, then... And these books here are probably of more interest to me than anyone else. But... The first one is Fatigue and Disautonomia, Chronic or Persistent, What's the Difference? And this is actually by a doctor that I used to go to before I moved to the doctor I currently see for my dysautonomia. And my fatigue is to the point where it really is very debilitating. So I am interested in some things that he might say, even gain to understand it better. I'm always up for trying to understand it better. And he has nice size print in here. And like I said, I did used to go to this doctor. So he was in New Jersey. That was a little bit of a trip for us. So that's that book there. And then related to this was a bit of a splurge. but I think that it was an important one. It's disjointed, navigating the diagnosis and management of hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and hypermobility spectrum disorders. And I do have EDS as well. And what I like about this one is it covers everything related to EDS, including dysautonomia, including mast cell. And I have mentioned in the past I have a book on mast cell as well. And there are doctor names in here that I recognize as being people who are considered top line people. So I do look forward to reading some of these topics. Just anything that I can get to know more, even though I've come up with my own theories based on my own medical background. Knowledge is always good. When I'll have the brain power to read said books will be interesting. I'll probably start with the one by my previous doctor because it looks like it's a bit of an easier read. Now, back to something that people might care more about. There is actually stories behind this. My mom really loves owls. I really love bunnies. I saw this book. I don't even know how this came up on my For You type thing on Amazon. But it's called What an Owl Knows, The New Science of the World's Most Enigmatic Birds. And I might have originally been okay with picking this up on Kindle, but I wanted to pass it on to my mom to read when I was done with it. I mean, I still want it back, but you can't necessarily do that the same with a Kindle book. So I'll read it and then I'll let her read it. And it talks about the different different owls. It's very conversational. It just looks like it's written very nicely. It's like talks about what it's like to be an owl, owling, who gives a hoot, what it takes to make an owl, to stay or to go. I guess it's about migration. An owl in the hand. So it talks about mythology. It talks about the different breeds of owls. It just, let's see, it probably gives me a better idea. It talks about owls that burrow. It talks about their biology, their brains and behavior, their many surprises, how they see sound, how they fly like quiet as moths. So very interesting, different species. It just looks like it'll be an interesting book. And something my mom and I can enjoy together once, I'm done with that. Then the one that I got for myself, I looked for something like that for snakes, but because I also like snakes, I liked them more when I was younger, but I found one on rabbits at least, which is my current favorite. But The Way of the Rabbits, and there's other books similar to this I might pick up later, but this goes through let's see, bunny biology, rabbits in popular culture, that's gonna be fun, rabbits in art, lagomorph lexicon and literature, the legacy of Eostre, leporine lore, habitat and conservation, and it looks like it's a very readable style. So I look forward to this one. I'm not sure if I'm going to start this one first or the owl one first. If I start the owl one first, my mom will be able to read it sooner. But I have to decide what I feel like. Sorry, more tea. Sorry for any slurping. Now, this here is something that I'm super excited about. So, you guys know, because I mentioned multiple times, that I enjoy the Thrawn trilogy, and then the duology that follows it that Zahn also wrote. And he also has a couple of prequels that tie into the Mara Jade character as well. I forgot to bring with me, I have the first comic that he wrote with Mara Jade. I've had it for a long time, but it's in my room with my other Timothy Zahn Star Wars books. But it's a comic. It has an introduction to her character. I think it has up until the point, from her point of view, when the Emperor dies, and then the aftermath of that for her. It's been a while since I've read that. But I found out fairly recently that there is an in-between story, in between the events of the... Well, okay, I'm going to end up having to give away anyway. So spoilers for Star Wars extended universe, because I can't show this without giving it away anyway. So there apparently is a story that I didn't know about that happened in between Mara and Luke in the duology. It comes after this trilogy, and then their first year officially together. I didn't realize that they had a story in between that's only in comic form, that is of them getting married. So, sorry, spoiler alert for the trilogy. I really hope that you did turn off if you wanted that unspoiled for you. But this is really hard to find for a good price, and it was really hard to find for a good price in a one... Let me pull this out very nicely. Find in the single comic, like in the graphic novel form. I'm actually going to turn this tape inward because I keep barely avoiding taping that, putting a tape on this. So it's a nice shape. I'm not sure what I feel about the artwork. I'm going to have to go through this more when I actually read it, because that is something I do enjoy, is going through the artwork when I am reading a comic story. So I do have a feeling I'm going to have some things to say about the artwork. I'm not terribly impressed at first glance, but I did not pick this up for the artwork. I picked this up for the story because I wanted that in-between story. Now, as part of the deal, I did end up getting a copy of Union 1. So it's the first part, it's a 4-part series. One's already in here, but they threw in the single part 1 by itself, and they threw in this like little like Star Wars comic that was like in a toy set. So I don't know what I'm going to do with these. Either I'll put them up online to sell, or I'll give them away or something, because I don't need these. I only picked them up because it was a good price to get this one here. If, especially since the one I was bidding on eBay, like in the last, I was the only bidder for like days upon days, and in the last few hours this price skyrocketed because all of a sudden everyone was jumping on board, which really frustrated me because I was the only one for ever. But I got this one, which actually was a better deal for me because it was all together in a graphic novel instead of in pieces, so it worked out. So next time I do a comic one, I'll try to cover this, because I do occasionally have, I haven't had one in a while, but I do occasionally have a comic section. So there's that one. That's one of my, things that I didn't expect to be able to get, because I really wanted to read this story. Now, it's not, to be fair, this is not Zahn. No one can write Luke and Mara as well as Zahn, like together. Although I think Zahn's particularly gifted in getting character voice in a way that some of the other authors aren't anyway. But Mara belongs to Zahn. That's his creation. So not everyone has the gift of capturing the Luke-Mara, the nuances of the Luke-Mara relationship. So I'm interested in seeing how this author will manage. Okay. So I do believe, yeah, that is all for this video. I will go ahead and move these off to the side, and then I will get the next video prepped. So thank you very much for joining me today for another booktube, and I will see you again at the next video. Thank you very much. God bless. Bye-bye.